Have you ever wondered, how can every nation on earth be drowning in debt, yet the world keeps running as if nothing is wrong? Stay with me, because the truth behind global debt is far more shocking than the numbers. Every major country you can name is deep in the red. The United States alone owes over $38 trillion, the biggest debt ever recorded in human history. Europe carries more than $14 trillion, Japan around $9 trillion. Even wealthy nations, oil giants, export superpowers, all owe enormous sums. But here's the paradox no one tells you. If the whole planet owes money, who is the world actually paying? Debt isn't a simple burden. It's the invisible architecture holding the modern world together. Every war, every crisis, every economic boom sits on top of promises that never fully get paid. Follow these promises long enough, and something unsettling appears. The world doesn't owe money to one entity. It owes money to itself. But that doesn't mean everyone benefits equally. To understand how humanity ended up with over $315 trillion in total debt, nearly 3 times the size of the global economy, we must go back to the beginning. Long before credit cards or digital payments, national debt was born on the battlefield. In 1694, England was out of gold and losing a war against France. So the king turned to merchants. In exchange for a steady stream of interest, backed by future taxes, they financed the crown. To manage this new system, the Bank of England was created. It changed everything. For the first time, a government could spend money it didn't yet have. And lenders received something priceless, a tradable promise from the state. This was the birth of the government bond, the seed of the modern financial system. Other nations copied it. France, the Netherlands, even the newborn United States used it to fund its revolution and expansion. Debt became a sign of strength, not weakness. The ability to borrow became the ability to rule. Empires once conquered land to take gold. Now they issue bonds to collect interest. The battlefield moved from the ocean to the balance sheet. Fast forward to today, and debt has become the world's largest export. The U.S. owes $38 trillion, Japan owes over $9 trillion, and global borrowing grows by $1 trillion every 100 days. But who holds the other end of the rope? In America's case, most of the debt is held by America itself. Banks, pension funds, insurance companies, the Federal Reserve, all cycling the same promises. Foreign nations hold the rest, Japan, China, the UK, and others, but only a fraction. This circular loop isn't just American, it's everywhere. Countries lend to each other, then borrow back. Reserves flow in circles. Loans replace old loans. Promises back up promises. It's like a global poker table where every player is borrowing chips from the next. And the only rule keeping the game alive is, no one gets up from the table. Behind all of this sits the true power, the markets, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, central banks. They decide who gets cheap credit and who gets punished. When they lose confidence, currencies collapse, governments fall, and entire nations can be reshaped overnight. And at the heart of the system is the modern priesthood of finance, the central banks. They don't just manage debt, they manufacture it. Every new dollar, euro, or yen is created by exchanging it for government debt. Every unit of money is a unit of someone else's obligation. There is no such thing as debt-free money. Every coin, every bill, every digital number carries an invisible IOU. For decades, the system survived on confidence. So long as investors believe interest can be paid, the machine keeps turning. But history shows what happens when belief breaks. Greece, Argentina, Sri Lanka. When confidence dies, debt becomes a weapon. Yet even after countries collapse, the same cycle starts again. The same promises, rewritten. The same loans, renamed, the same system, restarted. Because in today's world, debt isn't meant to be paid off. It's meant to be rolled over forever. Governments don't plan to eliminate debt. They refinance it endlessly. Debt has become a heartbeat, the pulse of global capitalism. If the U.S. ever paid off its entire debt, the world economy would collapse. Banks would lose their most trusted asset. Money supply would shrink. Markets would break. So the system survives by keeping the illusion alive that debt is manageable, believable, sustainable. But there's a hidden truth. When we say we owe it to ourselves, it's only half true. Interest payments flow upward, from workers and taxpayers to institutions and investors. Debt isn't just a link between nations, it's a link between classes. Global inequality rises with global indebtedness, and the whole system works until confidence breaks. Because debt, at its core, is a promise, and no promise can last forever. If this changed the way you see the world, follow for more. History doesn't repeat, it reveals. And I'll show you the stories hidden behind today's numbers.